Following segment on KROC AM is sponsored by Meshbesher and Spence. And yeah, double dip day today.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, Zach Bauer and Andrew Davick are in. So
Did
there
you guys
are. You're
not
way over there.
check each other's schedules that only one of you had to be here today, you know?
We like it when both of you are here.
I do.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
It's a rare day that we're both available.
So what do you think, Bash Brothers? What do you think? Can you see it?
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Show us your guns.
We could use that as a marketing tool, I suppose.
Wish your guns. That would be an awesome ad. Show us your guns, the Bash Brothers.
It'd be underwhelming.
Whose pet peeve are we talking about today?
Both of you? Or
Probably both of ours.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. And the pet peeve is?
People not stopping for people in crosswalks. It's kind of what
Which
it
you
boils
came
down
into. You had a situation that came up recently, right?
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, twice. We like to go to lunch downtown, so we're driving down 2nd Street.
The two of you.
The two of us.
Who's driving?
The Bash. Well, me, because I'm clearly a better driver. And we've been working on that, but I've been encouraging Zach to watch Rain Man and work on the driving, but it's taking some
Glad
time.
you guys get along.
So I'm driving down 2nd Street, and twice we stop. One time you get the blinking crosswalks.
Right.
Car's going to still barrel through on the left side and smoke the pedestrian. And then a second time we're stopped again for somebody in a crosswalk, and they had to slam on their brakes because the person behind us is on their phone. So, people simply aren't paying attention at all.
Well, and some of the walkers aren't paying that much attention either, but fortunately in this case that person that was crossing did pay attention. But, I mean, when you got the flashing lights...
Yeah, it should
should be obvious.
Should be a telltale sign,
and especially
that
if other
you should
cars are
stop.
stopped.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there always is that situation where exactly what happened to me too, what happened to you, that I'm waiting for someone in that flashing crosswalk, and I can see in my rearview mirror there's a car that's in the right lane that I'm in, not slowing down and turning to the left, is going to get just ready to pass me and go right through that. And the two women who were crossing were right in front of my car. And so I honked the horn because they were talking to each other and weren't looking at so that's them too. Check to be sure that people are going to watch for you in the crosswalk. I think I scared them half to death, but at least they didn't get hit by that car who then just went right through. Why that doesn't register with folks, I do not know.
Well, it is hard to understand. When Zach and you could, first of all, like you were saying, you got these big flashing lights on 2nd Street. And if you've ever driven on 2nd Street, you know that they're there. It's pretty obvious. Why somebody would not see that and stop is beyond imagining. Most of the time it's distracted driving or people not paying attention or arguably ignorance of the law, which Zach understands better than I do. Not the ignorance
even though you're
of
both
the law,
lawyers.
to be clear. I meant
even though you are both lawyers.
The law.
We'll go to Zach for the
issue.
law piece on this.
So it is incredibly important, I think, obviously there's civil ramifications for striking somebody in a crosswalk, but there's also some criminal ramifications for it, especially now if there's going to be some type of great bodily harm or death that results of it. There's been some changes in the law recently where there's actually kind of been a special part of the reckless driving statute that's been carved out to deal specifically with loss of life or great bodily harm, maybe not in a situation where you're drag racing necessarily. That could be under a different statute called criminal vehicle operation, but it's a gross misdemeanor level offense, so it has some criminal penalties that attach to it as well. One of the things that the state has to show is that there's kind of a conscious disregard of safety, but I can tell you that the flashing lights and kind of blowing through those, you probably hit that level. It probably goes beyond just pure negligence. So people just need to slow down, especially in those areas. Because there are occasions when people who are walking as the pedestrians are in the crosswalk, but they're not paying attention.
Right.
But that usually kind of falls on the driver to make sure that they're the ones that are kind of in charge. They're the ones that are operating a vehicle that's going to hurt somebody.
If a police officer sees somebody do that, where I'm stopped for people that are waiting to go into the crosswalk, and there's a couple of cars that go past, what kind of citation does that person get for doing that?
Probably a failure to drive with due care. So
Okay.
very similar to what like a speeding citation
Okay.
might be. So I anticipate that's what they would get.
I wish
And it
that
wouldn't
they
be a
would
cheap
give
one.
more.
What now?
And that would not be a cheap ticket.
Wouldn't be a cheap ticket. You're talking about probably about $300 when everything's said and done. Very similar to what sometimes we see with texting tickets and so forth.
Yeah.
So just It's not worth it.
Well, it is there are those out there who are, and you got to think about bicycles as well. Same thing. If they're, as long as they're in their bike lane, even if they are, there are those that are just irritated that bikers are out there at all. And they try to make a point and try to just and I've seen it where they just, try to edge over a little bit just to scare the biker. And, they're playing with somebody's life.
A car is a weapon at this point.
Yeah, but
when those people are idiots, I mean,
well, they are.
To put it simply,
Absolutely.
But it does go both ways. I mean, there are times you go down. I drive the country club road once in a while on the way to Byron, and you'll see a pack of bicycle riders all together. You're coming over a hill, and there's like 4 or 5 of them together abreast.
Yeah.
And
single file.
Come on, guys. Let's stay off to the side here for your own, who do you think you are? I mean, I slow down, I go around them. I might tap on the horn a little bit and ask them to move over. I mean, that's only happened like once or twice, but still, it goes both ways. You just can't step out into the street knowing that you have the right of way if you're crossing the road or if you're riding a bike. At least be courteous.
You do, and at the end of the day, I mean, ultimately, I mean, in the civil side, I mean, you're always looking at issues like comparative fault, and whether you're a bicyclist, a motorist, or a pedestrian, I mean, you have to also look out for yourself and protect yourself against some of those potential issues. So, as an example, when we were driving down 2nd Street, you got the car barreling on our left-hand side, and it's going to clearly hit that pedestrian. You got to make sure that as a pedestrian you're paying attention and watching. I mean, still, the old saying that we tell our kids before you cross the street, look both ways. It still applies. I mean, you still have to pay attention. I mean,
my dad's version of that was remember that everyone is a potential idiot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of drivers like Zach out there, and so you've got to pay attention when you're on the road. I mean, I'm telling you.
Hey, kids, remember.
Zach, we're running out of time for rebuttal.
If you see that blue Honda Fit rolling around recently, that's me.
So Zach. Now, it actually can't hurt a pedestrian.
Yeah.
But
I hurt the car more than
my
But
gosh.
bottom line is, if, be aware. People are crossing the street. There's a lot more walkers out there, it seems, these days. I think they've had 65 car pedestrian incidents up in St. Paul already this year. 6 deaths.
6 deaths, yep.
And it's not all because they're texting and walking, although some of them are, but a lot of it is the drivers aren't paying attention just that same way. So.
Well, I remember, I've said this many times, but Police Chief Peterson, one time when he was in here, it probably is almost even 6 or 7 years ago, said, in the end, someone is dead. So it doesn't matter who is at fault.
Right.
Whether it's the person who's legally at fault or the person who common sense is at fault, but
killing or mortally, hurting someone that bad is certainly going to ruin your day.
Absolutely.
Right, theirs too.
You live
so
with it.
Somebody wants to get a hold of you at Meshbesher and Spence. They need an attorney at any time. How do they do that?
Especially those people that have been right up on top of them and then Rich honks on the horn and they cause them to fall over.
Right.
Those people should call us at 507-280-8090. Have a great day.
wow.
guys.
They got all kinds of courage when the Bash brothers are here.